Now that the carburetor is completely installed, you should do one last round of safety checks before you start the engine. Double check all of your throttle cable connections, carburetor fasteners, choke wiring, ignition wires, battery cables, vacuum ports and vacuum hoses, and all the hose clamps that go along with the fuel lines. Correct any vacuum ports or hoses that were not connected or plugged. Also make sure that all wire connections are correct and that there are no live wires hanging loose. With the air cleaner installed, check for smooth throttle action all the way open and closed with no binding. The result of a throttle sticking open could be devastating to your engine. When those checks have been made and you've verified your ignition timing, you can start your engine. As soon as it fires, you need to check for fuel leaks. If one is detected, shut the engine off until the fuel leak is resolved. Now that everything's installed and checks out safely, you'll need to do some initial carburetor tuning. In most cases, the following will be the only adjustments you'll need to make. This video does have an advanced tuning section, however, you should first make the following adjustments and then take the car for a test drive. If further adjustments are required, then go to the More Resources section of this video and click on the Advanced Tuning button for more procedures. Start with the choke adjustment since the engine will be cold the first time you start it up. There's two adjustments on an electric choke. You can control the choke operation by rotating the choke cap. Have a look at the marks that are on the choke mounting and the thermostatic choke cap. If the choke comes open too soon, loosen the 3 screws and rotate the choke cap counterclockwise 1 notch at a time until the choke operation is satisfactory. Rotate the choke cap clockwise if the choke opens too late. The only other adjustment on the choke controls the engine idle RPM during cold startup. The adjustment that controls the RPM is the fast idle cam. The factory setting should give you about 1500 to 1600 RPM fast idle speed, and in most cases won't need adjustment. If your engine requires a higher idle speed or is not idling around 1600 RPMs during the initial cold startup, refer to the advanced tuning section of this video for tips on adjustment of the fast idle cam screw. Go back and forth and adjust the choke opening point and fast idle cam as many times as needed until the engine idles well from a cold start all the way until fully warmed. Once the engine is fully warmed, the choke flap will be in the open position and the throttle will be off the fast idle cam. Now you'll need to adjust the curb idle speed screw. The curb idle screw controls the throttle plate position at idle, which in turn raises or lowers the engine RPM. To properly set the engine's idle speed, find the proper idle RPM on the underhood decal of your vehicle. If this decal is not available, find a service manual that references your vehicle and find the recommended idle RPM. Make sure the parking brake is on and that the wheels are blocked. Place any automatic transmission in drive, or in the case of a manual transmission, have it in neutral. If the engine's idle RPM is slower than recommended, turn the screw clockwise, opening the throttle blades to speed up the RPM. If the engine's idle RPM is too fast, turn the idle screw counterclockwise, closing the throttle blades to slow down the RPM. Next, you'll want to adjust the idle mixture screws. When tuning the idle mixture, you're actually tuning for the best manifold vacuum. Idle mixture needles are found on the sides of the metering blocks. Depending on which model carburetor you've got, you'll either have 2 or 4 idle mixture screws. Regardless of how many idle mixture screws you have, if you change the setting on one idle mixture screw, you're required to change the other idle mixture screws the exact same amount. To properly set the idle mixture, you'll need a vacuum gauge attached to a full manifold vacuum port. The initial adjustment is made by turning the mixture screws in a clockwise direction until they lightly bottom out. Then back them both off 1.5 turns. Adjust each idle mixture screw the same amount to achieve the highest possible vacuum reading without having to go back and adjust the idle speed screw. Once you've achieved the highest manifold vacuum through the idle mixture screws, now you can go back and reset the idle speed screw if needed. The last adjustment you'll need to make is the float bowl level adjustment. The fuel bowls will need to be full and the sight plug pulled from the side of the bowl that you're setting. You'll loosen the lock screw at the top of the fuel bowl and adjust the level by turning the adjusting nut while holding the screw up top in place. When the fuel level is at the bottom of the sight plug hole and trickles just a bit, your float level should be set correctly. Replace the sight plug and lightly tighten with a screwdriver and then flush the fuel bowl by revving the engine a few times. Shut the engine off and remove the sight plug to confirm the fuel level setting. If you don't see a slight trickle or too much fuel spills out, then you'll need to adjust the level again. If your carburetor doesn't have an external float adjustment, then no changing of the level is required.